So hello everyone, कैसे हैं आप सब? So in the previous class we were doing test 18 discussion and I hope you have got that. And now in today's class we'll be doing the discussion of test number 19. And before I do that, I want to tell you this fact that in our OPSC, this Shubhra Ranjan IAS Bhubaneswar channel, there is one section that is live section. In that, I have revised from unit number 1 to 7. So try to go there, and that video is very important to all of you. For those who are giving this year mains, you will be finding lot of good content in that 1 2 hour video. 2 hour video, every concept of ethics is being discussed, and all the things with respect to answer writing strategy and whatever things that you will be requiring for writing mains is there in that video. So do check it out and try to avail the benefits of that. And let's start with test number 19 discussion. Before we start, what is ethics, my dear friends? So the answer to this question would be ethics is a normative science where we study human conduct. Human conduct on basis of some established standard. The knowledge of ethics gives us knowledge of what we should do and what we should not in order to achieve summum bonum. We have discussed in classes that summum bonum in case of Jainism is Kevalya, in case of Buddhism is Nirvana, in case of Hinduism it is moksha, in case of governance it is welfare of citizens, dear friends. Welfare of citizens. Yes, now when we talk about this, when we talk about ethics, what we are trying to focus here, we are focusing upon these words, that is Niti Shastra. Niti means to carry forward, ले जाना किस डायरेक्शन में लेके जाना, that is toward the right direction. Now whether we are talking about any aspect, we are moving in the right direction in a more an ethical manner, in a for example more sustainable manner. We are moving in a right direction by what? By getting this knowledge of right and wrong. That is, it is telling us regarding the rightness and wrongness of human conduct. Now when we discuss about corporate governance, now next question, that is the first question in our test, was with respect to ethical corporate governance. So whenever we are discussing governance, it is World Bank defines this governance as how authority is being exercised in the management of social, economic, political resources for development. That is social, economic, political resources for development. How authority is being exercised. Now, when we are discussing regarding corporate governance, so it is about businesses. How these, for example, rules and regulations are being applied, how decisions are being made, and how these decisions are being implemented. Yes, have we got this? Yes. So now let us see, that is, अगर आप ये देखोगे तो first question is with respect to the question number 1 is with respect to the concept of ethical corporate governance. The concept of ethical corporate governance works on the principle of balance of equity, which seeks to balance the interest of the company, customers, suppliers, financiers, government and shareholders on the one hand, and the community at large on the other hand. Which values play central role in ensuring ethical corporate governance? Now, whenever you are discussing regarding corporate governance, we have discussed in the videos as well, in that video also, and in the classes as well. Whenever there is a question on corporate governance, you should be starting by Sir Adrian Cadbury. He defined corporate governance. Now that is governance, corporate governance, that is way a company is directed, controlled or managed. Way the company is directed, controlled or managed. Sir Adrian Cadbury Committee has defined corporate governance as how these companies are directed, controlled or managed. Now when we say this, that is how decisions are being taken and how these decisions are being implemented. That is the focus here. Now, how these decisions are being taken when they are taking ethical consideration. into the mind. When while implementing, they are thinking about how this will be benefiting people, planet, and profit. How these decisions while execution will be benefiting, that is people, planet, and profit. That is called as ethical corporate governance, dear friends. Ethical corporate governance. However, World Bank has defined corporate governance, that is the process in which there is accountability and transparency in the management of company. That is process in which there is accountability and transparency in the management of company. What does that indicate? That is corporate governance can be defined as adherence to rules and standards and run in the interest of all shareholders and society. That is corporate governance can be defined as adherence to rules and standards run in the interest of all shareholders and society. Are you getting or not? तो अगर हम जब कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस की बात कर रहे हैं तो हमें पता है कि हमें समझ में आया कि किस तरीके से डिसीजंस लिए जाते हैं और किस तरीके से उन डिसीजंस को हम इंप्लीमेंट करते हैं, उसके बारे में हम सोचते हैं. नाउ व्हेन वी सी दैट एथिकल कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस, तो हम इस एस्पेक्ट पे पीपल, प्लैनेट और प्रॉफिट के बारे में भी बात करते हैं. हम पीपल के बारे में, लोगों को के बारे में भी सोचते हैं कि हाउ दैट particular business is benefiting these people, those stakeholders, those shareholders plus stakeholders, both of these entities. Now when I say this shareholders, that is we are thinking about profits as well. That is it should also benefit these businesses, dear friends. It should benefit these businesses. But when we say this, it should not only benefit people, it should not only benefit those shareholders, but it should also benefit the nature as well, the nature as well, the mother nature as well. Because we have understood in the previous lectures that in the classes as well, that is prakriti rakshati rakshita, dear friends. That is those who protect the nature, nature protects them. That is if nature is being protected, nature will protect you as well. Nature will protect society as well. Nature will protect that business as well. And that is what our goal is. Now dear friends, the question here was asking regarding what, that is क्या पूछ रहा था क्वेश्चन, अगर देखोगे तो क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा था कि द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ एथिकल कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस जो कि बैलेंस करता है कंपनी को जो कि उसके प्रॉफिट्स है, कस्टमर्स को जो कि पीपल है, जो कि स्टेक होल्डर्स है, और सप्लायर जो कि फॉर एग्जांपल जो भी शायद स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं और जो उनको सप्लाई करते हैं, जो उनको पैसा देते हैं, है ना. And government is also one of those stakeholders and shareholders on the one hand, and community at large on the other hand, which values play a central role in ensuring ethical corporate governance. Now they have defined whatever we have seen as a discussion. जो भी हमारे दिमाग में समझ में आया, तो हमें समझ में आना चाहिए कि हम लोग कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस की डेफिनेशन दें, then we will be bringing in ethical corporate governance. और हमें यहाँ डायग्राम बनाना चाहिए, यहाँ पर कैसे कि पीपल, प्लैनेट एंड प्रॉफिट का डायग्राम बनाना चाहिए. कैसे कि अगर आप यहाँ पर नहीं बनाएंगे तो मुझे लगता है कि अगर आप बनाएंगे तो आपको 1 या 2 नंबर एक्स्ट्रा मिलेगा बाकी लोगों से. तो यहाँ पर आप लिखेंगे पीपल, यहां पर आप लिखेंगे प्लैनेट, और यहां आप लिखेंगे प्रॉफिट, और यहां आप लिखेंगे एथिकल कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस. सभी लोग अपनी कॉपी में बनाएंगे. एथिकल कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस, डियर फ्रेंड्स. तो यहां पर हम किसके बारे में सोच रहे हैं? पीपल के बारे में भी सोच रहे हैं. हम यहां पर किसके बारे में सोच रहे हैं दोस्तों? हम किसके बारे में सोच रहे हैं? हम लोगों के बारे में भी सोच रहे हैं दोस्तों. हम प्लैनेट के बारे में भी सोच रहे हैं, और हम किसके बारे में सोच रहे हैं? प्रॉफिट्स के बारे में भी सोच रहे हैं. और इन्हीं तीनों का जो बैलेंस है, इसी को हम कहते हैं एथिकल कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस, डियर फ्रेंड्स. एथिकल कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस. तो आपको इस तरीके से बना के टेबल, मतलब कि ये डायग्राम बना के आपको इस तरीके से डायग्राम बंद करना है. दैट इज अभी ये डायग्राम आप सभी लोगों ने बना लिया होगा, आई होप सब लोगों ने बनाया होगा, और कोशिश करेंगे ये सब चीजें बना के, एंड देन इसको दूसरे पेन से दिखा दीजिए. यस, तो कोशिश करेंगे, और इन सबको दूसरे पेन से दिखा सकते हैं आप. Yes. Yes. So all of these aspects that you have to focus is with respect to these ethical corporate governance. अब वो पूछता है कि ethical corporate governance में कौन कौन सी values कंसीडर करनी चाहिए, मतलब कि क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है आपसे. द क्वेश्चन इज आस्किंग व्हिच वैल्यूज प्ले अ सेंट्रल रोल इन इंश्योरिंग एथिकल कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस. एथिकल कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस, अब आपको समझ में आ गया एथिकल कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस किसे कहते हैं. अभी हम लोग इसको आप रिच डेवोस का कॉन्सेप्ट, मैं चाहूंगा कि इस चीज को आप रिच डेवोस के कॉन्सेप्ट और वॉरेन बफेट का जो हम लोगों ने क्लास में डिस्कस किया था कि इट टेक्स डिकेड्स फॉर एग्जांपल जनरेशंस एज वेल. वॉरेन बफेट सेज दैट it takes a lot of time to bring repetition, but it takes only 5 minutes to destroy that. Or with ethical compassionate capitalism you can conclude by this, that is you can conclude by compassionate capitalism. तो हमारा इंट्रोडक्शन क्लियर है, हमारा कंक्लूजन क्लियर है. अब हम सोचेंगे कि अगर, और आप एसडीजी 16 से भी कर सकते हैं. तो मैं कह रहा हूं कि इंट्रोडक्शन तो आपका क्लियर ही है, और अब हम कंक्लूजन के बारे में अगर देखूं तो कंक्लूजन आप किससे कर सकते हैं, तीन कॉन्सेप्ट से कर सकते हैं. मैंने क्लासेस में भी बताया था कि फर्स्ट तरीके का होता है एसडीजी 16 से, कि पीस, जस्टिस एंड स्ट्रॉन्ग इंस्टीट्यूशंस. पीस, जस्टिस एंड स्ट्रॉन्ग गवर्नेंस का क्वेश्चन में दिस पर्टिकुलर एस्पेक्ट विल बी फिटिंग एट एनी टाइम डियर फ्रेंड्स, होता ही होता है. तो कोशिश करेंगे समझने का कि ये चीज आप करें. या फिर आप सेकंड चीज जो कि हम लोगों ने अभी देखा, रिच डेवोस, जो कि ये जो दूसरा चीज है, ये कंपैशनेट कैपिटलिज्म, पीपल हेल्पिंग पीपल themselves, that is given by rich DeVos concept. Or third would be, it is also being supported by Narayan Murthy ji. He has also talked majority of time with respect to this concept. Now third would be, third तरीका क्या हो सकता है, थर्ड तरीका क्या हो सकता है, ये दोनों तरीके आपने कर लिया, और थर्ड तरीका हो सकता है आप वॉरेन बफेट जी के कोट से भी कंक्लूजन कर सकते हैं. वॉरेन बफेट जी के कोट से भी, इट टेक्स लॉट ऑफ टाइम टू मेक अ नेम और टू बिल्ड अ रेपिटेशन, बट ओनली 5 मिनट टू डिस्ट्रॉय दैट. तो इस तरीके से आपने इंट्रोडक्शन और कंक्लूजन देखा. बॉडी वाले पार्ट में उन्होंने पूछा हुआ है बहुत सारी वैल्यूज के बारे में. तो हम लोगों ने बहुत सारी वैल्यूज पढ़ी हैं कि क्या होना चाहिए कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस में, किसकी डायरेक्शन में मूव करना चाहिए. नाउ इन विच डायरेक्शन दिस कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस शुड मूव इफ इट इज बीइंग डन ethically, then you have to, since we know that कि what do you mean by value, जो हम प्राप्त करना चाहते हैं, वैल्यूज का क्या मतलब होता है, जो हम प्राप्त करना चाहते हैं, जो फ्यूचर में अचीव करना चाहते हैं. तो एथिकल कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस में इन फ्यूचर व्हाट यू वांट टू अचीव, first point would be, that is first value is the transparency, second would be accountability, you should ensure the inclusiveness and equity, all the top points of those corporate governance, all the point, for example with respect to other values as well, integrity or other values you can always mention dear friends. So building trust, responsibility होना चाहिए, responsiveness होना चाहिए, all those values you will be writing dear friends. समझ में आ रहा है क्या. तो ये सब चीजें हम लोगों ने समझ ली. तो जैसे कि जस्टिस होना चाहिए, फेयरनेस दैट इज इंक्लूसिवनेस एंड इक्विटी भी होना चाहिए, फॉर एग्जांपल ट्रांसपेरेंसी होना चाहिए, ट्रस्ट होना चाहिए, उस पे रिस्पांसिबिलिटी होनी चाहिए, लीडरशिप एंड ऑल अदर वैल्यूज वी कैन टॉक अबाउट. यस, बॉडी वाला पार्ट इज वेरी इजी. इट इज जस्ट यू हैव टू आंसर दिस with respect to, for example ये बहुत ही easy टाइप का क्वेश्चन है. अगर आपने क्लासेस करी हैं तो ये बहुत ही आसान तरीके से हम सॉल्व कर सकते हैं दोस्तों, बहुत ही इजी वे में हम सॉल्व कर सकते हैं. और कंक्लूजन में हम लोगों ने बताया है कि वॉरेन बफेट कहते हैं कि it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. Second type of SDG 16, second type of conclusion would be SDG 16, that is peace, justice and strong institutions. And third type would be, that is with respect to ethical capitalism or compassionate capitalism, that is that concept that from where we have started in our introduction. Are you getting the knack of it? This was very easy question, very easy questions if you have seen classes and if you know how to write the answers. So this should not take much time. You should be attempting these type of questions in the first hand, because this will be giving you a booster. This will be giving this is the booster questions, and you should not lose marks in such type of questions. Okay, now let us see next question. Question number 2. Now when you say question number 2, question number 2 is regarding values that guide public administrators can often compete with each other owing to their relative importance to the larger public interest. Larger public interest. Discuss with examples. Values that guide public administrators can often compete with each other owing to the relative importance to the larger public interest. Discuss with examples. Now when we say the values के बारे में जब हम बात करते हैं तो we know that कि whenever there is a question on value, सबसे पहले क्वेश्चन क्या बोल रहा है कि वैल्यूज गाइड करते हैं पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स को. पब्लिक गाइड वैल्यूज गाइड देम कि किस डायरेक्शन में मूव करना है, किस डायरेक्शन में मूव करना है. ऑफन कंपीट विथ ईच अदर, लेकिन कुछ वैल्यूज ऐसे भी होते हैं जो इसको भी प्राप्त करना है, इसको भी प्राप्त करना है, आप किसको प्राप्त करें. They are also in a conflicting in nature. We'll be understanding about that. That is, relative values are there owing to the relative importance to the larger public interest. Yes, that is dilemmas में फंस जाते हैं कि दो वैल्यूज में से किसकी तरफ हम फोकस करें. क्वेश्चन बहुत ही अच्छा क्वेश्चन है and let us understand how to tackle such type of questions. Dear friends, in the classes we have seen that whenever there is a question on values, even those who have done the initial beginning classes of my lectures, there I said that whenever there is a question on values, you should start with Milton Rockich. What is value? Value is an enduring belief, mode of conduct, state of existence that is personally or socially preferable or desirable. Personally or socially preferable or desirable. Remember, dear friends, I have made you this diagram and you should be also making that diagram here as well. क्या डायग्राम बना सकते हैं आप? अगर आपके पास थोड़ा सा भी समय हो तो आप हमेशा कोशिश करेंगे कुछ अच्छे डायग्राम्स भी बनाने का. तो अगर आप ये देखते हैं तो हम लोगों ने देखा था कि बिलीफ long lasting belief, enduring belief, in the longer run, if desired, they will become part of values. They will become values, and these values, when seen from prism of rightness and wrongness, at the individual level become morals, and at the societal level becomes ethics. At the societal level becomes ethics. Yes, ये देखा था कि नहीं देखा था. And values, when object tied, they become attitude. We have to make this diagram. Why I'm saying this? Because sometimes it feels that is values, when these are relative values, these are conflicting values. If there are conflicting values, it will always be like which type of values, for example, which type of values we should be desiring for. Yes, you can make such type of diagrams in your answers as well. Now, while talking about these values, always try, for example, here as well, you can start by Milton Rockich. Milton Rockich says values are enduring belief mode of conduct, state of existence that is personally or socially preferable or desirable. That is, values, for example, Milton Rockich says that is it is a Milton Rockich says values are enduring belief, mode of conduct, state of existence that is personally or socially preferable or desirable. But next line should be these personally or socially preferable or desirable values should be can be conflicting in nature. Now then, write down these examples. Write down these examples of those values, because that was the question, dear friends. वही हमारा क्वेश्चन भी था. अगर आप क्वेश्चन को देखेंगे तो वही हमारा क्वेश्चन भी था कि फॉर एग्जांपल कि देयर could be question on, for example, values, principles of equality and efficiency. There could be a conflicting value. For example, अगर आप देखोगे transparency and national security, we have seen RTI tries to promote transparency, right to information act tries to promote transparency, dear friends. We know that with RTI, it was, for example, through the RTI Act of 2005, it was seen that is it is our right, since entire administration is running from this taxpayers' money. Entire administration is running from taxpayers' money, and it is our right to know what is happening within the administration. Then it was being analyzed the importance of RTI, and we have seen that is RTI brings transparency. RTI section 4 subclause 1 subclause B also tells regarding the suo motu disclosure of any kind of provision with respect to those, for example, those information in the public interest. If people has, for example, people should know, then those public authorities should reveal those information in a suo motu basis. Now when I say this, that is RTI is trying to ensure transparency, but sometimes it is also coming in conflict with section 24 of the RTI. That is, for example, with respect to sometimes it is coming with respect to conflict with section 24, that is with respect to national security. Are you getting or not? So that is security organization, yes. So that is a major problem. So RTI Act promotes transparency in governance. However, revealing certain information like security organizations, like intelligence operations, defense strategies may compromise national security. The Indian government has exempted intelligence agencies like RAW and IG for RTI to safeguard national interest. And these are, हमको दोनों ही चीजें अचीव करनी है, लेकिन क्या चीज लोगों के हित में होगा, which would be in a public interest, that we have to see. समझ में आ रहा है क्या सभी को समझ में आ रहा है क्या कि हमें ट्रांसपेरेंसी भी चाहिए, हमें क्या चाहिए, हमें ट्रांसपेरेंसी भी चाहिए, लेकिन अगर जब हम बात कर रहे हैं ट्रांसपेरेंसी की, डियर फ्रेंड्स, तो वी आर आल्सो सेइंग दैट इज कि वी हैव एवरी राइट टू नो about what is happening within the system, but that should not come at the cost of section 24, that is the information with respect to security organization, and then giving chilling effect to the national security. Or else section, for example, section 8 subclause 1 subclause J with respect to privacy of various people, कि ट्रांसपेरेंसी में इतना भी ओपन ना हो कि विद रिस्पेक्ट टू सर्विलियंस करने लग जाओ किसी के घर में कि वो इंसान क्या कर रहा है, वो किससे मिल रहा है, किससे बात कर रहा है. That should not be there. Are you getting or not? So transparency versus national security is one of those values which are always of conflicting in nature. First point. Second example could be with respect to environmental protection or versus development. And second type of value, for example, both aspects are required. Whether sometimes we say that whether we should be focusing upon environmental protection or we should be focusing upon development. Both of these are conflicting values. When we say environmental protection, that is prakriti rakshati rakshita. That is, if you protect the nature, nature will protect you. Yes. For example, even section, Article 21 also gives you right to life, and that is where right to live in a proper, good environment. For example, clean environment is also one of your rights, fundamental rights that are being mentioned. That is, we need clean environment to live sustainable life. But that is coming as a part of environmental protection. We require that. There is no doubt about that. And when we say these tribal communities, they are also living in sync with the mother nature. But sometimes we hear that government of India initiate various kind of developmental activities in these areas, and that are very important for developing developing the economy, for example developing the infrastructure. For example, people will be getting job, or for example there will be eradication of poverty after that. Now for that purpose, government is taking various kind of measures, that is developmental measures, dear friends, developmental measures. But don't you think both of these things are important, and those both of these things are relative in nature and conflicting in nature? And that is where this conflict arises, whether we have to adopt this environmental protection or whether we have to adopt this developmental things. Now both of these things are of conflicting in nature, dear friends. So first 2 points, I guess it is clear to most of you. Now when I say this, now let us see the third point. Third point would be focusing upon, that is efficiency and equity. We have seen that is conflict, that is streamlining process for efficiency can sometimes exclude disadvantaged groups, raising concerns for social justice. Yes, even with respect to reservation policies. Sometimes we say that if, for example, if you bring in reservation with respect to, for example, in the medical field or at the higher levels, then what will happen that it may compromise efficiency as well. But we need both of these things. We need efficiency as well, and we have to think about equity as well. Equity as well. हमें जो गरीब तबके लोगों को है उसको उनको उनके उत्थान के लिए भी काम करना है, और हमें यह भी इंश्योर करना है कि ये सिस्टम एक इफिशिएंसी आ सके. दोनों में हमें बैलेंस बना के रखना है, और दोनों ही कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग नेचर के हैं. अगर आप इफिशिएंसी के काम करोगे, के ऊपर काम करोगे, तो आप किसके ऊपर फोकस करोगे? आप, for example, with respect to everything, you will be focusing upon development of skills and all, and those who will be having those access, they can easily access those of things, and they will learning those things, and they will be getting success. But when I say regarding equity, that is, we are understanding regarding the circumstances behind those people as well. If those people need more support, we will be giving those support to them, and in that process maybe we can compromise on efficiency as well. कोई कह दे कि अगर मान लो कि अगर कि आपने किसी को रिजर्वेशन दे दिया, और फॉर एग्जांपल विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इफ यू हैव गिवन रिजर्वेशन एंड some less qualified person has come into the system, and for example, and they have become doctor, and बहुत ही मतलब कि अब उनको डॉक्टरी का भी मिल गया, सारी चीजें मिल गई, उनके पास डिग्री मिल गई, और वो शायद रिजर्वेशन के बेसिस पे मिला. तो हो सकता है कि इन फ्यूचर दैट विल बी, आप किसको ज्यादा प्रेफर करोगे, कि जो स्किल्ड है, जिसने बहुत सारे, फॉर एग्जांपल दोज पर्सन हु इज efficient, or those who had got that degree because of reservation. I'm saying that there is always a conflict between them, and that is what the question is asking, dear friends, whether you will be bringing efficiency or whether you will be focusing upon equity. Both things are important. I'm saying both things are important, but which value should be focused? That is our real question, and that is what question is asking, dear friends. Are you getting or not? For example, privacy and public safety is also one of those examples that you can write in your answers. For example, ensuring public safety may require massive surveillance, which can infringe on the that is for individual privacy. For example, Aadhaar program enhances welfare delivery but raises concerns about data security and misuse. We have seen even in the classes of internal security, you might have heard regarding, that is, various data breaches. Approximately 80 crore or 100 crore लोगों का जो data है in the dark net and dark web, that particular data has been revealed of Aadhaar. We have noticed, after understanding that, then government became aware and they have started that mass Aadhaar kind of things. But don't you think already data have been leaked? And sometimes we say that if you are registering each and every detail, and on the basis of that people can access some of the crucial things, and each and every, for example, although government is not at the legal stance on this, that making Aadhaar mandatory for getting each and every that is service, but various organizations on the ground level, you will be seeing that they are making this mandatory on the ground. Now for ensuring this public safety or for example public welfare, what we require, that is definitely we need Aadhaar. But will it come at the cost of, for example, individual privacy? That should not. And that is where we have to maintain a balance between these two values. Maintain balance between these two values, dear friends. Let me grab a sip of water, then we'll be continuing. Yes. Are you getting or not? सबको समझ में आया? Now let us understand the next aspect. When I say this, meritocracy versus social justice, this aspect we have also discussed, that is in the efficiency and equity. So you can mention all these examples and then provide conclusion. Conclusion should of these values based question we have seen, it should lie under the pretext of paropkaraya punyaya papaya paripidnam. That is, we should always do good to others, we should always help others, we should always serve others. By that we will be bringing religious merit. If we still pain, hatred, deception, so that will be bringing religious merit. So all these values should be used for public welfare, welfare of people, that is summum bonum should be welfare of citizens, and wherever both of these values are most suited for the welfare of citizens, that values should be incorporated. So making it very simple, the question number 2 must have become very easy for all of you, and that this question seems tricky in the first hand but was very easy if you dwelt deeper into that. So try to attempt this type of questions as well, because questions on those contexts has been asked by UPSC in 2013 and 14, but after that they have forgotten such type of questions. But these are conceptual based questions and we have already tackled them in this theme of value change. जहां पर हम लोगों ने टॉर्क प्लस पीएमएल की फ्रेमवर्क्स को पढ़ा था, तो वहां पर हम लोगों ने क्लासेस में in our foundation batches we have already done those things. So dear friends, this question number 2 became very easy after that. याद रहेगा क्या सबको याद रहेगा? Now let us see question number 3. Now question number 3 is regarding quotation. So whenever you are giving whenever you are being asked about quotation, so my simple philosophy to all of the students is that is never start a quote with another quote. Why I'm saying this? Because government has given, for example, UPSC has already given you a puzzle. UPSC has always given has given you puzzle, but in turn you are also creating those puzzles, and you are, by giving one more quote, what you are doing, you are, for example, you have created one more puzzle, and that is a major problem, dear friends. Are you getting or not? Major puzzles, yes. So that is the aspect. So try to avoid those, try to avoid that. Now next aspect, that is what we have to understand, that is enlightenment is a man's emergence from his self-incurred immaturity. That is, question is, enlightenment is man's emergence from self-incurred immaturity. Very simple line, but seems very difficult. That is, it is seeming that very difficult line, but very easy line. That is, we know that. What do you mean by immaturity? कि जानबूझ के गलती करना, पता है कि क्या सही है तब भी गलत कर रहे हैं. दैट इज एबिलिटी, अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग को अच्छे से यूज ना कर पाना, उसको इंप्लीमेंट ना कर पाना. दैट इज व्हाट कॉल्ड एज इमैच्योरिटी. यस, बीइंग इमैच्योर मींस कि भैया इसको पता था कि मेहनत कर लेते तो सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा, और अदरवाइज seeing the kind of competition we are in, it has numerous, it will be giving you plethora of options for distractions. मुझे पता है कि मैं डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो जाऊंगा, लेकिन और तब भी मैं डिस्ट्रैक्ट होता हूं, मैं पढ़ाई नहीं करता हूं. तो दैट इज व्हाट कॉल्ड एज इमैच्योरिटी. जस्ट टाइम पे जो चीजें समझ में आती हैं, लेकिन समझ में तो आ गई, लेकिन व्हेन वी आर फोकसिंग अपॉन द एग्जीक्यूशन एस्पेक्ट, वी आर नॉट फोकसिंग अपॉन दैट, डियर फ्रेंड्स, एंड दैट इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड एज immaturity. That is inability to apply your understanding. इनएबिलिटी टू अप्लाई योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, मुझे पता है कि ये चीज गलत है, ये चीज गलत है, ये नहीं करना चाहिए, देन ऑल्सो आई एम डूइंग दैट, दैट इज द एस्पेक्ट ऑफ इमेच्योरिटी डियर फ्रेंड्स। आर यू गेटिंग और नॉट? सबको समझ में आ रहा है? एवरीवन शुड से दैट क्या होता है इमेच्योरिटी, आप खुद से सोचो एंड ट्राई टू राइट विद इन वन लाइन इन योर कॉपी, देन लेट्स कंटिन्यू। सबको समझ में आ रहा है? लिखेंगे, पॉज करिए वीडियो और लिखिए कि क्या होता है इमेच्योरिटी, आपके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में इमेच्योरिटी का क्या मतलब होता है। ट्राई टू गिव वन एग्जांपल फ्रॉम योर ओन लाइफ, because UPSC also 1 year they have asked, try to give example from your own life, try to do that and we will be appreciating that as well. That is, immaturity means inability to use one's understanding without the guidance of another. That is, inability to use understanding without the guidance of another. Enlightenment may be achieved when one frees himself or herself from the self-incurred immaturity. The immaturity is self-incurred and arises due to the lack of understanding. Lack of understanding. Now, enlightenment कब होता है? इंसान जागृत कब होता है? जब वो समझ जाता है कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल कि मुझे अब ये करना बहुत जरूरी है, मेरे लिए मैं गलती नहीं कर सकता, मैं गलती रिपीट नहीं कर सकता। कभी कभी आप देखते होंगे दोस्तों कि कुछ लोग कि पहले ही अटेम्प्ट में वो सिलेक्शन ले लेते हैं, उनका सिलेक्शन हो जाता है। क्यों होता है ऐसा? क्या लगता है आप लोगों को, क्यों सिलेक्शन होता होगा? क्यों होता होगा सिलेक्शन? कि आते ही उन्होंने मेहनत करी और उन्होंने इतनी मेहनत कर ली कि फॉर एग्जांपल गॉट decent rank, for example rank 16, rank 13, for example that Manish Kumar got rank 11 or 12 in that year, yes. So rank 50 इसके around में Vikram Grewal और majority of people. What is the major focus? क्यों होता है ऐसा? Why I am saying this? Because उनको पता है कि क्या करना है and they know this fact कि भैया ये डिस्ट्रैक्शन है, उनको पता है राइट एंड रॉन्ग क्या है, तो मुझे राइट वाला एस्पेक्ट करना है और मुझे they can see that if I am not doing justice with my work, what will happen? I will be losing on my career. Are you getting or not? So that is the aspect, that is removal of from your own self prejudices, removal of own irrationality aspect, removal of, for example, that is freedom, it is like unfreedom. It is when you are talking about immaturity, then it is like unfreedom. It is not you what you want, it is distraction which is guiding you. In the philosophical context, if I have to say this, that is कि अगर आपको डिस्ट्रैक्शन से ही, मुझे पता चला कि भैया वहां पर आइसक्रीम मिल रही है और मेरी तबीयत खराब है, लेकिन मेरा मन वहां पर जा रहा है, अब मैं जाता हूं और मैं जाके आइसक्रीम खा लेता हूं, अब मेरी तबीयत खराब हो जाएगी, मुझे पता है तबीयत खराब हो जाएगी, लेकिन तब भी मैं अपने मन के वशीभूत हूं, अपने मन के वशीभूत हूं, तो मैं वो कर रहा हूं ना, मुझे पता था वो गलत है, तब भी मैं वो कर रहा हूं। दैट इज कॉल्ड एज इमेच्योरिटी, inability to apply your understanding on the ground. Are you getting or not? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that oh Arjuna, why you are suffering? He says that कि मेरे मन में इतने सारे डिस्ट्रैक्शन, इतने सारे थॉट्स हैं, एंड विथ ऑल आई एम गेटिंग डिस्ट्रैक्टेड। ये सारे जो भी विचार मेरे मन में आ रहे हैं, ऑल द थॉट्स आर गेटिंग मी डिस्ट्रैक्टेड। लॉर्ड कृष्णा रिप्लाइड दैट बंधुरात्मात् मनः तस्य येनात् मैवात् मनः जिता अनात् मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तते तात्मैव शत्रुवत्। That is, Arjun, what you have to do? You have to control your mind. You have to make your mind a friend. अपना दोस्त बना लो मन को, बंधु बना लो दो अपने मन को। कैसे? By lot of practice. ये एनात मैवात, बार बार भागेगा लेकिन पकड़ के ले आओ, बैठाओ, बार बार भागेगा, पकड़ के ले आओ, बैठाओ। That is the most important aspect, dear friends. और ये जब समझ लिया आपने कि ये मेरा जो एक्चुअल में फ्रीडम क्या है, मेरी एक्चुअली फ्रीडम क्या है, कि जो मैं करना चाहता हूं, द थिंग दैट आई वांटेड टू डू, आई एम डूइंग दैट। अरे मुझे पता था कि इन ड्यूरिंग दिस टाइम ऑफ फॉर एग्जांपल जब मेरे पास बहुत कम दिन बाकी हैं, 20 दिन बाकी हैं, 30 दिन बाकी हैं, उस टाइम को मैं बहुत ही अच्छे से यूज करके मुझे पढ़ना चाहिए, दिन रात लगा देना चाहिए, पूरा 100% दे देना चाहिए, लेकिन तब भी मैं वो नहीं कर रहा हूं। मेरे को और भी सारी चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट लग रही है, इसके अलावा सारी चीजें आपको डिस्ट्रैक्शन दिखनी चाहिए पढ़ाई के अलावा. Kant, Immanuel Kant, when he says that कि making your interest and desire as a zero, he meant something. He meant something, and that is what enlightenment is. कि when you know what should be done, what are my duties, and you are not evading from your duties, you are doing that. That is real enlightenment, dear friends. Are you getting or not? When Immanuel Kant says this, that making our interest and desire as zero and focusing upon your duty for the sake of duty. And that is what the real enlightenment is. When I say this, I am telling with conviction, when Krishna says that karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, then you should focus upon karma, you should focus upon duty, that is real enlightenment. But sometimes what happens with a lot of distractions outside, it happens that we always we get misguided. We always, मैं बोलूंगा कुछ करने के लिए, लेकिन आपके मन ने देखा कुछ और इतना सारा प्लेथोरा ऑफ रिसोर्सेज उठा के लेके आए और आप कुछ और करने लग गए. मैंने बोला कि वो वीडियो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, लेकिन देखना बहुत कम लोग होंगे कि वो वीडियो देखेंगे. फॉर एग्जांपल लाइव वीडियो मैंने किया था वो अपने शुभ्रा रंजन आईएएस भुवनेश्वर चैनल पे, लाइव में फर्स्ट वीडियो ही होगी और उसमें आप देखेंगे कि नॉट मेनी पीपल हैव वॉच्ड दैट, ओनली फ्रॉम द क्लास स्टूडेंट हैव वॉच्ड, एंड दैट इज द प्रिटेक्स्ट कि जो हमारे बच्चे हैं, जो हमारे ही स्टूडेंट हैं, वो देखें, वो उसका लाभ उठा पाए. लेकिन आप नहीं देखोगे, क्यों? क्योंकि आपको यू हैव ऑलरेडी प्लेथोरा ऑफ थिंग्स टू डू, दैट इज यू आर बिजी इन योर ओन लाइफ. That is a self-incurred immaturity. Enlightenment is understanding, applying of those understanding on the ground. Are you getting or not? So I have given the context of that and then try to give examples from various arenas. For example, you should also mention that is क्या कर सकते हैं कि lack of resolution of one's own knowledge. For instance, despite knowing that HIV/AIDS does not get transmitted merely through physical touch, people maintain a physical distance from those suffering from HIV/AIDS and discriminate against them in a social setting. For example, cowardice among a large section of society, due to which people are not able to emerge out of their immaturity. For example, a large section of the Germans in Nazi Germany did not have courage to speak out against the Hitler's policy against the Jews despite knowing about the consequences. A self-doubt about oneself which reduces person's ability to think out of the box. In 18th century Europe, many people began to emphasize on the importance of science and reason rather than religion and tradition. This was deemed as a period of enlightenment by European philosophers like Kant. According to Kant, enlightenment means having courage to use your own understanding. Courage to use your own understanding. And if you see the life of Immanuel Kant, dear friends, so regarding nomina, that is, for example, regarding God or soul, that things that cannot be seen, regarding which various philosophers do comply, but what Immanuel Kant says that nomina cannot be known. It is unknown and unknowable, not nameable. So he became agnostic, or he became, for example, silent over those questions. Focus upon your duty. भैया हमें क्यों करना है? हाँ, on the basis of faith, I will be following those. I know that God is there. But on the rational ground, I should not be focusing upon these things. That is called as real enlightenment, dear friends. Real enlightenment, and that is where we are focusing on this. And next is, in this context, ways to overcome self-incurred immaturity to achieve enlightenment include, what are those things? For example, cultivating one's own mind, for example, yoga, meditation, use of reason, identifying the risk appropriately, or wider consultation before taking final decisions, or one's behavior is based on his or her reasoning. वो करिए, है ना? That is what is the need of the hour. और वही चीज आपको करके you can get the enlightenment. Are you getting? Yes, सबको समझ में आ रहा है? Yes. So like this you can attempt this question. Try to incorporate and at the last, try to incorporate things from administration and IER. That will definitely fetch you +1 +2 by giving examples from IER and administration, and try to do that. When I say this, try to do that. करने की कोशिश करना है सबको. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? तो कोशिश करेंगे सभी. Yes. Now next aspect is with respect to question number 4. Group B का question number 4 है. That is, what does each of the following quotation means to you? Knowledge gives us power, love gives us fullness. Wow, क्या line है कि knowledge gives us power and love gives us fullness. कभी ऐसा होता है क्या कि मैं बैठा हुआ हूं, पढ़ रहा हूं, लेकिन मेरा मन नहीं लग रहा है, दिल नहीं लग रहा है, तो आप शायद पढ़ोगे, आप बहुत मेहनत कर भी रहे हो पढ़ के, लेकिन बहुत सक्सेस अचीव नहीं हो पाएगा, आप बहुत अच्छा आंसर नहीं लिख पाओगे, आप एवरेज ही रहोगे. लेकिन जब तन्मयता के साथ, तन मन धन के साथ, पूरे दिल से, खुशी दिल से उस प्रोसेस में आप रम गए, तो शायद आप जो चाहते हो वो ऑब्जेक्टिव ही फुलफिल हो जाएगा. होता है कि नहीं होता है? Sometimes it happens that when you try to give a lot of effort, but not intentionally, not really trying to get all of those things, but when you do it with all love, everything gets sorted. I remember the example of Armstrong Payne. What happened? He was DM, and he tried to get support. He wanted to build, for example, connect the hilly areas and the valley areas with the one road. And what happened, that when he tried to seek support from state government and central government, none of the support he was getting. वहां पर उसको support नहीं मिला. And but he was adamant. He was knowing that why he is doing that. He was knowing because he was of the nature of serving, and he focused on those aspects and tried to focus upon certain those aspects which are very, very crucial, that is working on the ground, and then he tried to crowd fund those funds. And then what happened after that? Crowd fund kiya, usne crowd funding kiya, and then with the help of that, he tried to build the road connecting valley and various other states were also connected. That is the power of love. That is power of service. When we say this, when I am saying all these examples, what I wanted to tell you, dear friends, is that is knowledge gives you ability to think critically. Knowledge gives you ability to think critically. सोचने और समझने की शक्ति देता है. नॉलेज है तो मतलब क्या है? आपके पास ज्ञान है. तो जब नॉलेज है और सोचने और समझने की शक्ति देता है, तो इट गिव्स पीपल कंट्रोल ओवर देयर सराउंडिंग. क्योंकि आप राइट एंड रॉन्ग के बीच में डिसीजन दे सकते हो. आपको पता है किस तरीके से मैं चीजों को पॉजिटिव और निगेटिव डायरेक्शन में ले जा सकता हूं. यू हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड एबिलिटी टू शेप योर ओन डेस्टिनी. यू हैव नॉलेज, you have ability to shape your destiny. Yes, very, very true. Now, but for example, APJ Abdul Kalam used his knowledge in space science to strengthen the India's scientific progress. And APJ Abdul Kalam ji ka या फिर CV Raman ji का example you can always give. कि knowledge के basis पे ही उनको power मिली, है ना? All of those aspects were there. लेकिन sometimes we say that कि this knowledge can also be used for the negative things as well. नॉलेज के बेसिस पे आपको पावर तो मिल जाएगी, क्या कीर्ति मिलती है कि नहीं, वो भी तो सोचने वाली चीज है. दैट वेदर यू गेट दैट काइंड ऑफ दैट पावर इज सस्टेन्ड और नॉट, और दैट पावर इज फॉर द वेलफेयर ऑफ द पीपल और नॉट. पावर इज फॉर द वेलफेयर ऑफ द पीपल और नॉट. दैट इज द फोकस, एंड दैट इज वेयर वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. आर यू गेटिंग? सबको समझना है कि अगर मैं कहूं कि अगर आपके पास नॉलेज है तो आप ओसामा बिन लादेन भी तो बनोगे, आप टेररिस्ट बन जाओगे. नॉलेज है लेकिन वैल्यू नहीं है, सर्व नहीं करना चाह रहे हो आप. उस नॉलेज का पावर तो आपने अचीव किया, लेकिन वो पावर से क्या किया आपने? तबाही लेके आने की कोशिश किया. दैट इज टेररिस्टिक एक्टिविटीज यू वांट टू स्प्रेड, टू क्रिएट, टू इंस्टिल द फियर इन द माइंड्स ऑफ पीपल. दैट इज व्हाट योर फोकस इज when you are becoming terrorists. But they are also, ओसामा बिन लादेन के पास नॉलेज नहीं था क्या? उसके पास भी नॉलेज था। क्या हर्षद मेहता के पास नॉलेज नहीं था क्या? शायद स्टॉक मार्केट का सबसे बेहतरीन नॉलेज वो रखते थे। क्या विजय माल्या के पास नॉलेज नहीं है क्या? ही इज ऑल्सो हैविंग दैट काइंड ऑफ नॉलेज। बट नॉलेज से पावर मिल जाएगा क्या? फुलफिलमेंट मिलेगा क्या? आज क्या हर दर दर के कंट्रीज में भाग रहे हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल हर्षद मेहता इज नॉट लिविंग दैट लाइफ, or any other example that you will be giving, that love provide that kind of fulfillment. Knowledge can give you power, but love tells you how to serve for the people, how to work for the welfare of the people, how to get, for example, किस तरीके से उसको उसको for example उसको help provide कर दें. For example, I am giving you two examples. Ram and Sita is there. Ram is a DM of certain district, and suppose some old lady come to the Ram, and Ram tells that old aged lady is saying that my all the document has been washed away in the recent Kerala flood, and my husband has died previous month, and I am very hungry, and I do not have any kind of document. My all the document has been washed away in the recent Kerala flood. What will happen? राम, अगर राम के पास में ब्यूरोक्रेटिक एटीट्यूड है, if Ram being from the bureaucratic attitude, what he will be doing? He will be denying those kind of services to that lady. Sita on the other hand, having the democratic attitude, what she will be doing? She will be okay, understanding that okay, she is not having those kind of documents, but she needs any kind of food right now. Emergency में पहले short term goals and try to fulfilling the long term goals and trying to connect with the NGOs, SHGs for that lady. And by that means, she is trying to serve that old aged lady. And that is the element of love. Love teaches you to serve. And that brings the sense of fulfillment. कभी किसी की हेल्प करी है क्या? दिल से हेल्प करी है, और उसके मुंह में जो स्माइल थी, the smile in his or her face is so satisfactory, dear friends. And that is what the question is. Let's understand the question. That is, for example, but not necessarily gives fulfillment. That knowledge not necessarily gives fulfillment. That is, knowledge without love. That is, a British had political knowledge about Indian kingdom, and their superior military knowledge enabled them to acquire power. However, their actions brought misery to the Indian people, who had faced several deprivations, including frequent famines. Similarly, Harshad Mehta's unscrupulous ways of exploiting loopholes due to his superior knowledge of the financial market and its mechanism led to the erosion of wealth for many investors in the stock market, ultimately led to his downfall. But love gives the fulfillment. For example, Armstrong Payne, an IS officer, had love and compassion toward the Jiliarong community of the Manipur, which made him to find a way, that is Jiliarong community of the Manipur. उनके प्रति प्रेम का भाव था. किसके प्रति? कौन सी कम्युनिटी है? Jiliarong community, that is of the Manipur. And 100-kilometer road was built to the crowdfunding, beating all the odds. Such an act gives the satisfaction as well as bring a long-lasting impact in the society as well. Similarly, it was compassion of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam toward people with disabilities which led to all those things. For example, space के sector में, that is ability to serve, वो है एक बहुत ही important point. आपको समझ में आ रहा है क्या? सभी को समझ में आ रहा है? Yes, that is a very very important concept. Now what is the significance? Now education है लेकिन values नहीं है, तो क्या बनोगे आप? ओसामा बिन लादेन बन जाओगे, आप सती प्रैक्टिस करोगे, या फिर many software engineers will be joining IS. All those aspects you will be writing and then closing this answer. Let's see question number next. Question number 5. देखते हैं. Let me grab a sip of water and then we will be continuing. Question number 5. What do following quotations means to you in present context? We must not only tolerate others but positively embrace them. It is telling about multiculturalism is there, or for example it tells that we should respect other cultures, we should respect other cultures, we should respect them, others ideas. We know that dear friends, what happens, that is when you are, क्या होता है दोस्तों, कि अगर आप अपने ही विचारों को ये सोचते हो कि मेरे ही विचार सही हैं और दूसरे के विचार गलत हैं, when you his or her is not giving respect to others, will lead to extremism, will lead to the extremism, violence, will lead to violence, will lead to chaos. Are you getting or not? सबको समझ में आ रहा है? यस. तो अपना ही विचार अगर आपको लगता है कि सही है और दूसरे का विचार आपको, दूसरे का कल्चर खराब लगता है, गलत लगता है, तो आपको वो उससे क्या होगा, हमेशा वो एक फीलिंग होगी कि दूसरे के प्रति में आप हेट्रेट करेंगे और आप कभी भी दूसरों को लाइक नहीं कर पाएंगे. Now start with the Swami Vivekananda, that is was spoken. These Swami Vivekananda words were spoken at the World Parliament of Religion, where he addressed the American people as his brothers and sisters. This shows his general idea of acceptance toward each and every being, irrespective of religion, or nationality, or race, etc. My brothers and sisters, मेरे भाई और बहनों, मेरे भाइयों और बहनों. Now he is saying, he is accepting all the culture persons coming from the different caste, religion or nationality, that is considering them his brother and sister. Now this kind of feeling of religious pluralism or multiculturalism, or for example that is accepting this religious or religious diversity, caste diversity, cultural diversity, lead toward making, that is Vasudev Kutumbakam, Vasudev Kutumbakam, that is whole world as a one family, is inherent in Indian culture. We have own differences among the people and accept them as a part of humanity. Multiculturalism and tolerance, it teaches us this value of tolerance for the other views. For example, those views which are different from ours, that is multiculturalism means that is an interest in others, respect for the difference of all the segment of the population and oneness with the world. Tolerance is the means, the positive aspect of life in a diverse society is to assimilate, respect and accept the differences. This is what makes the society truly multicultural. All religions are different path to the same goals. Vivekananda did not see the goal of different religions as essentially different. Religions are in harmony with each other owing to their goals and principles. Follower of religion must understand the same and in the national and social habitation. The need is to hold the interfaith dialogue right from the school to the societal on the regular basis. Now next is, in the world divided on the race, religion and ethnicity among the factors, these prepositions expounded by Vivekananda were extremely relevant. Avoiding intermixing of religion and politics. Second is check hatred and violence in the name of religion for the protection of united and diverse nations. Yes, so all of those things you can mention and try to address this question, dear friends. कोशिश करेंगे. Next quotation is with respect to forgiveness is not an act, it is a permanent attitude, given by Martin Luther King. So when you are discussing regarding forgiveness, now when you say this forgiveness should be embraced as a consistent and long lasting mindset. It is talking, this quote is talking about this. It is embraced as consistent and long lasting mindset rather than practicing in an uncertain or random manner. माफ कर देना, लोगों को माफ कर देना will give you, for example, relief, make you relieved from the negative feelings. That is, forgiveness is generally defined as a conscious and intentional decision, conscious and intentional decisions to release feelings of resentment or vengeance towards that which has caused harm or hurt, which is caused harm or hurt. Forgiveness is an attitude which cannot be one time, that can be practiced on a rare occasion. It can be practiced on a rare occasions according to one's own convenience and whims. Can't be, that is, forgiveness is an attitude, can't be one time, but it should be, that can be practiced on a rare occasion, but at our own convenience or whims. It should become an indispensable part of one's attitude. क्योंकि ये क्या करता है, जब आप किसी को माफ नहीं करते हो तो आपका दिल बहुत भारी रहता है, दूसरे से ज्यादा आपको खुद को बहुत कष्ट होता है. That is, it makes you relieved from the negative feelings. For example, leads to the inner healing and resilience. आप खुद में उन घावों को आप उनसे उभर पाते हो. For example, embracing growth mindset, or it creates a healthy work culture. For example, we were giving this case study in the classes as well, and UPSC asked this case study. That is, for example, they have asked, that is, if in the classes, for example, in your work culture, what happens that somebody is there and they are, for example, अगर वो बहुत सारे काम कर रहे हैं, and we have seen कि in the work culture and there is one boss and you are being there, और आपका बॉस जो है वो हमेशा आपसे गालियां दे के बात करता है. He is always abusive in nature with you, but with others he always talks really well, talks nicely. Then in those contexts, what will happen that कि आपको किस तरीके से रिएक्ट करना चाहिए, किस तरीके से बिहेव करना चाहिए. Such type of case study has been asked. So that is the major problem. That is, you have that if you forgive, if that boss forgives him, or you forgive your boss, then it will maintain a healthy work culture in your company. And then, with respect to cultivating forgiveness, requires one to reflect on the benefit of forgiveness, developing empathy and compassion toward oneself as well as toward others, as echoed in the teachings of various philosophies and religions. Virtues like forgiveness helps to uplift, inspire, and lead us toward personal and professional excellence. सबको समझ में आ रहा है क्या? Everyone? Yes. So like this, you can always answer this question. Next, 7th question is of very important, and ऐसा क्वेश्चन यूपीएससी ने भी पूछा था एक, और सेम क्वेश्चन आपके टेस्ट सीरीज में भी इन्होंने बनाया है. तो आई होप दैट इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थीम. लेट्स सी ये क्वेश्चन क्या है, और थोड़ा सा समझने की कोशिश करते हैं दोस्तों. समझते हैं क्वेश्चन क्या है. क्वेश्चन ये बोलता है कि अ सिस्टम ऑफ मोरालिटी which is based on relative emotional value is a mere illusion, a truly vulgar conception which has nothing sound in it and nothing true. क्वेश्चन क्या बोल रहा है कि a system of morality which is based on, अब मेरे morality क्या होता है, which I think to be right and wrong. मेरे हिसाब से क्या सही है क्या गलत है, मेरे हिसाब से क्या सही. अरे भैया, मेरे हिसाब से तो कुछ भी सही लग सकता है. मेरे को ऐसा भी, मैं पढ़ाई नहीं कर रहा हूं तो मेरे को सही लग रहा है, मैं एंजॉय कर रहा हूं, मैं सीपी चला गया, मैं कहीं घूमने चला गया, टाइम वेस्ट कर रहा हूं. हो सकता है मेरी समझ अच्छी ना हो उस टाइम में, मेरे समझ में ना हो सकता है कि माई थिंकिंग at that particular time is not so developed or that I can understand my right and wrong, but at that point I am understanding that कि यही तो टाइम है, घूम लेते हैं. तो मेरे लिए जो मोरालिटी का जो एस्पेक्ट है वो इट इज अ वल्गर कंसेप्शन, इट इज अ मियर इल्यूजन. कि अगर अलग अलग लोग अलग अलग तरीके से बिहेव करते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल, दैट इज अ सिस्टम ऑफ मोरालिटी व्हिच इज बेस्ड ऑन रिलेटिव इमोशनल वैल्यूज is a mere illusion, a truly vulgar conception which has nothing sound in it and nothing true. Socrates. Now, the above quote says that morals that have their origin on relative and transient values that are emotional are mere illusion. It is actually a very wrong conception in itself. It फॉर एग्जाम्पल सती एक टाइम पे गलत ही था, गलत मतलब सती एक टाइम पर सही समझा जाता था। फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर गांव दराज में चले जाओ तो कास्ट अभी भी रियलिटी है। तो अगर हम मोरालिटी के बेसिस पे जाएंगे तो वो दैट सोसाइटल मोरालिटी वुड बी सेइंग दैट कास्ट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन इज ओके, बट विल इट एक्चुअली राइट? नो. Untouchability is okay, will it actually right? No. Gender discrimination, patriarchal norms are still there in various societies. Is it right? No. But they, according to those societal morality, that will be considered as right. So that is a vulgar conception, not right conception, not right one, definitely not right one. And that is mere illusion. That is, it rejects the position of moral relativists who make claims relative to social, cultural or historical or personal circumstances. अपने अपने अनुसार किसी चीज को सही और गलत की डेफिनेशन दे दिया अपने अनुसार. That means morality can be defined as set of personal or societal standards for good and bad behavior and character. Morality prescribes what is the right conduct to an individual in his course of life. However, in course of our lives, we encounter different scenarios and our moral compass might get altered more due to our emotions rather than objectivity. This is sometimes a misconception of morality in itself, can be seen in the following examples. Now let's understand what Socrates is saying. Socrates says that morality, knowing what is right and wrong, should not be based upon emotions like anger, love, sadness. मेरा बच्चा अगर होगा तो उसकी गलती मैं कभी मानूंगा ही नहीं, और वो कहीं फंस गया तो मैं बोलूंगा कि मेरा बच्चा ही सही है. अगर मैं इमोशन के बेसिस पे जाऊंगा, मेरे को जस्टिस नहीं दिखेगा, मेरे को मेरा बच्चा ही चाहिए. समझ में आया कि नहीं आया? That is, should not be based on emotions like anger, love, sadness or fear. Instead, it should be based on logic, reasoning and universal principles. It should be based upon logic, reasoning and universal principles. If morality is based on emotions, it can be misleading, unreliable because emotions change all the time. Yes, हर वक्त पे इमोशंस चेंज होते रहते हैं. कभी मुझे कभी सही लगे, कोई चीज सही लगेगी, कभी कुछ और चीज सही लगेगी. Now, for example, examples of justice versus emotional reactions. Imagine a man steals food because he is poor. किसी ने खाना चोरी की, and man steals food because he is poor. People feel bad for him and says, let him go and he was hungry. और आपने बोला कि वो तो hungry था और उसको जाने दो. But what if someone says, also someone else also poor steals a mobile phone? कोई दूसरा व्यक्ति है जो कि मोबाइल फोन चोरी करता है. Should he also be forgiven, or just because he was in need? तो उसको भी बोल दिया जाए कि भैया ये भी तो, इसको भी तो जरूरत थी और इसने भी तो फोन चुराया है. तो क्या आप उसको आप कोई दैट इज अ प्रॉपर एस्टैब्लिश्ड ग्राउंड बना दोगे राइटनेस एंड रॉन्गनेस का? नो. Are you getting or not? So that is the question. Socrates points that law and morality should be based on fairness and justice, not on emotions. If we excuse stealing out of sympathy, society will collapse. तो हमें क्या करना होगा? हमें हमेशा ये देखना होगा कि दैट इज कैसे उसको जस्टिस मिलेगा, कैसे उस चीज में, उस एस्पेक्ट में जस्टिस कैसे मिलेगा. फॉर एग्जांपल ऑफ जस्टिस वर्सेस इमोशनल रिएक्शन. यस, we have understood that. For example, war versus peace. Two countries have dispute, people feel patriotic and demand war. दोनों ही कंट्री वॉर चाहती हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, both these countries are extremely patriotic and both of these countries want that war, but war will cause destruction, loss of life and suffering. Socrates points that good leader will make decisions based on logic, not on the basis of emotions. Similar thing happened when this hijacking of IC-814, and some of these terrorists were taken and to the Kandahar, and there lot many media personals were showing these videos and they were discussing कि इसी एयरक्राफ्ट के अंदर बहुत सारे टेररिस्ट हैं and गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया should negotiate with them. बहुत सारे लोग हमारे फंसे हुए हैं, और इतना प्रेशर बनाया गया कि उस टाइम पे बहुत सारे मसूद अजहर और बहुत सारे ऐसे टेररिस्टों को छोड़ना पड़ा. मतलब कि फॉर एग्जांपल वी हैड टू रिलीव ऑल, एंड दोस दीस टेररिस्ट And in later on, we have seen that 26/11 attack and in various other attack, parliament attack, various other attack, these people were involved. That is clearly indicating, that is कि अगर आप इमोशन के बेसिस पे कोई डिसीजन लोगे तो it will be dangerous for any nation, any society, any culture, and impacting humanity as well. So that is what Socrates is trying to say, dear friends. Socrates is saying this, that your decision should be based upon logic, and with this you should be giving lot many examples. For example, police encounters. You can justify कि भैया इसने तो बहुत बड़ा रेपिस्ट है, ये तो किया ही है, although his charges has not been confirmed in the court of law, but there is an allegation over him, and then you think, you also seem to be feeling under the emotional circumstances, you say that no, this particular person is guilty, and you encountered him as a DSP. Should that act be called as right? No, definitely not. Because while encounters are justified when done in the genuine self-defense, recently the tool is being used to instill fear throughout to promote law and order. For example, evil practices get validated. For example, several practices of societies are validated by emotions and values prevailing on those times rather than rightness of such practice. For example, slavery was validated for most part of history, though being derogatory and inhumane practice. Third would be a Supreme Court in Sabrimala judgment held that it won't be heard by popular morality, but will be uphold constitutional morality. So like this, you can give various examples and try to answer this. थोड़ा सा कोशिश करेंगे इसको लिखने का and try to answer this with lot many examples. Now let's understand this case study. Case study says that you are an IPS officer. So you are a protagonist and you are an IPS officer. As the Inspector General of Police in state, your recent death of the father duo in the district in the state due to the custodial violence. उसने बताया है कि custodial violence के कारण कि फादर और उनके बेटे की जान चली गई. Allegedly, in the presence of Deputy Superintendents of Police, DSP has sparked anger across the state. This is not an isolated incident, as there have been allegations raised by human rights groups in the past regarding custodial death due to physical assault by the police. The High Court of the state, taking suo motu cognizance of the recent incident, has served a notice to the state government seeking a detailed report on the rising instances of custodial death. The state government has constituted a committee to probe the incident and submit the detailed report on the veracity of the facts related to it. You have been asked, that is, to head the committee. आपको बोला गया है, IPS ऑफिसर हो और आपको बोला गया है कि आप हेड करो. You know that Deputy Superintendent of Police of the district is an honest officer, hard-working and upright officer. He has privately requested as well to absolve him of any wrongdoing, as he claimed not to be present. वो बोल रहे हैं कि मैं यहाँ पर नहीं था when the incident occurred. You know that any action against him will be detrimental to his reputation and career. On the other hand, the seniors in the department are pressurizing you to put all the blame on the DSP and make him sacrifice a lamb in order to protect the overall image of the police in the state. Here in this scenario, you have understood that is केस क्या है, आपको समझ में आया कि आप आईपीएस ऑफिसर हो और कुछ कस्टोडियल वायलेंस हुआ है, जिसके कारण फादर और उनके पिताश्री और उनके बेटे की डेथ हो चुकी है और डीएसपी पे बहुत सारे एलिगेशंस लग रहे हैं. डीएसपी ने बोला कि मैं क्लेम कर रहा है कि मैं नहीं हूं और डिपार्टमेंट चाह रहा है कि आप उसी बंदे को पकड़ लो और जिसने भी मतलब कि डीएसपी को पकड़ लो ताकि सारे डिपार्टमेंट की इमेज साफ रह पाए. नाउ इन दैट सिनेरियो, identify the stakeholders and ethical issues involved in the case. Then what steps will you take to ensure that inquiry is seen to be fair and impartial? And next is, given the challenge of that, the challenges that police forces in India operate under in their day-to-day functioning, suggest some of the initiatives to address them. That is, the given case portrays an instance of custodial violence leading to death of detainees. And as per National Crime Record Bureau, approximately in the last 20 years, 1,888 custodial deaths were reported across the country. in which 893 cases were registered. अब इस पर्टिकुलर केसेस में स्टेक होल्डर्स कौन कौन से हैं? सबसे पहले तो पुलिस ऑफिसर्स, द कंसर्न पुलिस ऑफिसर्स, बिकॉज his career progression or repetition is at the stake, and other police officers के भी career and repetition are at the stake. Family of father and son, because they have been going because of the death of these two, there is an emotional trauma that has been faced by the sudden death, sudden demise of their family members, and they want justice. Police department, the prestige and reputation of this police department is at the stake. And next, High Court of the state, they had to provide justice according to the fundamental and constitutional rights and of the protector of the fundamental right and constitutional right of the individual against extrajudicial killings like custodial death. And next aspect is Inspector General of Police. As the head of the committee, I have responsibility to probe the incident while upholding impartiality and professional integrity. Ethical issues involved in the cases are: first is culture of torture and brutality. Yes. Second would be violate the principle of natural justice. Why? Because these persons, these detainees, those who have been died, they were not given fair opportunity to be heard. So they have been violated Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, that is right to life, and misuse of authority and power has been there. Misuse of authority and power and right to fair inquiry, that is if the police officers are being falsely blamed, then it will raise questions about them being tried in unfair manner, which might have demoralizing effect on the police force. Next is maintaining professional integrity. I will not succumb to my senior pressure to falsely frame the concerned DSP and other police officers. Will ensure that impartial inquiry is carried out and is also seen to be so. Firstly, I would temporarily suspend these concerned DSP and other police members who were being alleged in the custodial death and ensuring the impartial investigations. What I will be doing that, then I will be taking objective assessment of the case and will be analyzing case impartially and seeing all the records, registering various kind of eyewitness, and on the basis of those whatever decisions are being there, कि जो भी चीजें होगा उसको एग्जीक्यूट करने का, उस पर्टिकुलर डिसीजन को इंप्लीमेंट करने का कोशिश करेंगे. Now next particular aspect is with respect to police reform. The question is asking regarding police reform. So what is being required? Regular training and sensitization on the ground of police officers, then creating awareness regarding human rights. प्रकाश सिंह केस को लिख सकते हैं. Adequate police recruitment is being required. Modernization of police force and surprise inspection by non-official visitors should be made mandatory, which would act as a preventive measures against custodial torture. So further steps should be separation of investigative and law and order maintenance function of the police can be taken. Overall, there is need to formulate a multi-pronged strategy to keep police excesses in check and uphold this rule of law. This is how you should be addressing this case study. Next case study is of question number 9. Question number 9 is saying that क्या कहता है कि Mr. X is a billionaire businessman who leads a conglomerate engaged in insurance, energy generation and distribution and manufacturing. Despite being globally known as great philanthropist, he turned down a shareholder request seeking the disclosure of the conglomerate actions on issues related to climate change as well as diversity and inclusion. Because of increased attention to climate and diversity issues, many leading firms have committed themselves to incorporate relevant considerations in their business strategies. Therefore, some industry observers wonder if Mr. X is out of touch with the industry at large and has warned them failing to address the issues, climate change issues, put his business under the systemic risk. Now, but Mr. X maintained his vote against the disclosure proposal while at the same time acknowledged the importance of both climate change and diverse and inclusive workforce. However, Mr. X believes that such ethical issues take secondary importance to maximizing shareholders' profit. Discuss the importance of including climate change strategies and diversity and inclusion in a business organization. In your opinion, what matters more for a business organization, socio-environmental concerns or shareholder profit, and how can these two above issues be reconciled? तो आपको सबसे पहले बताना है क्लाइमेट चेंज Importance of climate change strategies and diversity inclusion in the business organization, that is ethical capitalism वाले aspect को आप डालेंगे. That is as more people become aware of this situation, that is environmental, social and social governance strategies, that is higher return than the equivalent conventional fund, and that is equally benefiting for the society as well as environment. Incorporation of climate change strategies by a business organization or conglomerate would further promote such companies which would be environmentally conscious in the longer run. So that will be a proper, for example, uh, collaborative effort, and other people will be also inspiring from this such act, and they will be establishing, that is climate conscious companies. Then climate change has direct impact on the escalation of natural disasters, which adversely affects insurance claims. Since the conglomerate of the Mr. X is itself involved in the insurance sector, he must open up regarding the strategies for the same. What are the importance of including diversity and inclusion? So that is, it is ethical to provide fair hearing and promotional opportunities for the people of different races, genders and background, and that is what, for example, companies with equal, that is what it should be the importance of shareholders. The second question was with respect to क्या था, question क्या था, that is कि in your opinion what matters more for a business organization, socio environmental concerns and shareholders profit. So always give this balanced opinion कि दोनों ही चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट है, the profit भी इंपॉर्टेंट है and this planet is also important, and try to conclude in people, planet, profit and compassionate capitalism. Compassionate capitalism में आप इस सेकंड वाले क्वेश्चन को कंक्लूड करेंगे. And how can two above should be reconciled? तो किस तरीके से इसको रिकंसाइल कर सकते हैं? तो by, that is next aspect is to reconcile, that is the firm should ensure that company's core values align with CSR strategy. For example, if the company believes sustainable practices, it should ensure that its product and services reflect those values. Integrate socio-environmental concerns into the business model. It means that the firm can opt for social and environmental missions as one of the company's core values and set goals to donate certain percentage of profit to it. It is important for the companies to remember that socio-environmental concerns are not only good for society, but it can also be good for businesses. By implementing responsible practices, company can improve their reputation, attract new customers, and reduce costs. So conclude on this, that is compassionate capitalism, that is people, planet and profit. इस तरीके से आप इस क्वेश्चन को भी कंप्लीट कर सकते थे. So with this, we have concluded all the questions. Try to attempt all the questions in the ethics paper. Try to write introduction, conclusion, और हम लोगों ने वो वीडियो को बारे में मेंशन किया है, तो try to see that video in the live section. First video is there. Try to see that. Do watch that video because that video is very, very important for your upcoming examination, dear friends. Try to see that because all these questions will be a cakewalk for you if you have seen that video. So thank you everyone, and we will be meeting again with the next test discussions. Thank you so much.